All right. All right. Hello. Welcome back to another conversation with Chris. I'm here with Eric today. Eric has an interesting story about being a product of the opioid epidemic and has death experience. So we're here to hear a story. Hi, Eric. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So yeah, I haven't gotten into your story yet, but I want to hear a little bit about your background. I know you say that you're a product of the opium epidemic. Can you kind of explain that to me? What you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people publicly understand what's happened in the news over the past. Probably had people around them that have died. I lost my best friend a year ago, one of the many, but it was a cornerstone of my life for a long time. So really, I guess it all began in early high school. Um, there wasn't a lot much known about opiates at the time, except that, I mean, it's essentially legal heroin to one degree or another. So people, as Oxycontin became prevalent through society, easily to get through pain clinics, what have you. I mean, it's all up front now what happened in the past, but that was during college. I went to college in Boone, North Carolina. I
Oh, is that
didn't.
Appalachian State?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, beautiful
Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
Didn't graduate, and I got a doctorate in partying. Um,
Right on.
but
Yeah.
so that's kind of where it all began, and then my life eroded from there. So
So
for
did you
lack of
get you started recreationally using it? Didn't start from like an injury or something?
I mean, it started from the parents' pill cabinet.
Okay. All right. So your
As most,
parents,
you
yeah. So at what point did you know that and would you say your parents were using them recreationally, or did any of that start from an injury? No.
Oh no, father was a nuclear engineer. Mom was
Okay.
running a company. There was not the culture surrounding my family was very much wait till college and don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
It was very taboo as it was. I mean, this was 2004, so weed was very taboo. Everything
Yeah.
was taboo.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's. I mean, I say it started there. Yeah, I've broken an arm, broken my face. Of course, prescribed pain pills for that, but that wasn't really where it took hold.
Yeah. Okay.
It really took hold with OxyContin, to be honest.
Okay. And that was mostly recreational and mostly in college. You kind of started.
Yeah, well, the heavy use started then.
Yeah.
Yeah, leads into heroin and all sorts
Okay.
of other pills too.
All right. So do you mind talking a bit more about that? You started like with pills, and then
Yeah,
where did that road lead you?
well, it led to selling drugs
Yeah.
to make the money to supply a habit, as most people
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Middleman this, do this, whatever, make some money, can barely eat. I'm eating two McDoubles a day, which were like $1 back then.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a downward spiral to where you need that to a lot of people that never used it or been addicted to it don't understand that you need it to survive. Your brain needs it to survive. And it's very hard. I don't, if you haven't been in it, you're not going to understand that it's life or death, or you don't go to work, you're sick, you don't call people, you have no social life. Like you start getting alienated from all sorts of natural life, just because you need or you feel the need to have a substance.
Yeah.
Um, so
So can you give me an idea? Say if you take an oxy, about how long is that lasting before you're kind of starting to need more?
I mean,
I
it
guess it
depends on
varies over time.
it's
And
heavily dependent on the money you have and like what type you're using, whether it's instant release or extended release, what have
yeah,
you.
okay.
Put it this way, within, say you stop the last day you stop utilizing a substance like that, you're going to start feeling like shit in 2 to 3 days, in which
Okay.
case you might miss work, you might be throwing up, you feel like you're very sick. It's just where it goes.
Yeah.
And that's why
And
people are addicted to it. It's literally one of the worst addictions, if not the worst, I feel like you can have.
yeah, okay. So you can go at least a day or two without any substance before you're really starting to feel the withdrawals.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, that was with the pharmacological grade
Yeah,
substances back then. I don't. This fentanyl thing, I don't know. Freaks me out. I see the people twitching downtown.
yeah,
Not a go. I don't want to touch anything. I don't.
yeah.
I mean, it's been 8 years since I was homeless, so
Okay.
I've
All right.
been able to.
All right. So yeah, let's get to that. So you were in college. You were probably around what age? Were you like a freshman, 18, 19 when you
When I
kind of started?
started freshman, I mean, was a lot of. I mean, I went to a lot of shows, so hallucinogens were
Yeah,
involved. But that was
yeah,
never really gave a shit about that. Like, yeah, it was party time.
yeah,
But the other aspect, I would say around 18,
yeah.
that it began. I'm sorry, not 18. Let's say 2021.
Okay.
With the beginning, light use there
Yeah,
was no history of it. It wasn't in the news.
yeah.
Uh,
And so about how long did that last? How long were you?
10 years. I got
10
sober at
years.
20. I got sober at 30.
Okay.
Um,
Oh
the
man.
worst 10 years a human can live.
Yeah,
Never hurt anybody, but I've done some dumb shit, man.
yeah,
People will do anything to acquire that substance, which is why you see cars stolen,
yeah,
families ruined. It's amazing what can happen just because you feel like you need something. You will turn on your best friend over a pill, and
yeah,
it's I don't even, like I said, the fentanyl. I couldn't imagine how that is.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so you obviously were into oxys, and then did that lead to anything else? Did that lead to heroin or?
Oh, of course. I mean,
Yeah,
once the government shut down the production of OxyContin or made it harder to get to through the pain clinics, what have you.
yeah,
When you're involved in the scene, you know people who go to Florida, this place, that place. It's ridiculous what you start, how you feel.
yeah,
You know, drugs. You're finding
yeah.
drugs. But yeah, it led to heroin. Once you shut that down, the heroin was cheaper. There was no
Hmm.
fentanyl, so it wasn't as dangerous. So you
Yeah,
could it was either good or it was bullshit, but it did something. Or this is the saddest part of the whole situation is you would hear so and so died, and you're like, well, where did he get that from? I'm
yeah,
just going to use less. Like, how does your
yeah. That's what I've
mind
heard. Yeah,
see that that's an option?
but somehow I've also heard that that kind of like validates the drug, and then that becomes kind of more in demand, right?
Oh, 100%. That's what I
This
was getting
person
at.
died
Is like,
from it, so yeah,
how does your
yeah,
mind even conceive like, holy shit, someone died? Let me have some of that.
yeah,
I don't get that now, but I did back then. That was a sales pitch, for lack of better
yeah.
words.
And so in those 10 years or so, are you able to kind of break down like time periods, like how
Oh,
the journey went? Yeah.
there's stints of sobriety for weeks.
Okay.
I was on methadone, I was on Suboxone, that lasted years, but I would
Okay.
continually use when I had the funds. It just became untenable once I had no money and I
Yeah.
wasn't going to work. So it's like I had to figure out ways to really get back into life, and then the addiction would take hold, or this would happen, that would happen. Hey, shh, sorry, dog.
Okay.
You create, I mean, you fabricate reasons to use it. Like,
Yeah.
until your life is utterly destroyed, will you even comprehend that you need to get off of this shit?
Yeah. And then with the Suboxone and methadone, would you get that from clinics, I
Yeah.
assume? And is there like an expense to that?
Yeah, it was like $11 a day for the methadone, but you have to go daily, which is, I mean, it makes sense. Like,
Okay.
you
Okay.
drug test, all that. It's just such a,
Yeah.
it's a racket too, but it is a gateway to a possibility of being sober or off of opiates for lack of sobriety
Yeah.
purposes.
And with those, is that just do you know what's happening chemically? Is it just kind of, are you having any like same feeling as heroin at all, or is it just
um,
kind of blocking receptors in your brain or something?
Well, so scientifically, it actually does. Suboxone actually blocks opiates. The naloxone part of Suboxone actually
Okay.
blocks opioids from attacking the receptors, but the Suboxone aspect pairs with it, and it is an opioid as well. So you are
Okay.
substituting, but you can taper down. It's you're looked at by a doctor monthly. You take drug tests. But that's all a shit show too, because you're
Yeah.
going to a doctor in a house. Like, what the fuck is that?
Really?
Like, yeah, man.
So it feels like a
Like,
shady operation.
for sure, dude.
All
This is
right.
all a fucking racket. The whole thing is a
Yeah.
racket. But
Yeah.
how do you escape it?
Yeah. No
Like,
shit.
what does a human do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how I got out, to be honest. I really don't.
Yeah. So you had some stints with sobriety. You had some stints of homelessness.
So what happened? I did something. Sorry,
Sorry.
I did an act in life. I didn't harm anybody, but I did something that was unacceptable for me mentally and morally.
Yeah.
Like I said, I did not harm anybody. That is not me, but I did something I never thought I would do
Yeah.
because of heroin and meth. So other
Yeah.
drugs got involved. It
Oh,
was
meth as well.
you're
Yeah.
in this racket. People were giving me meth to get off of heroin. Like, that's a fucking real situation. What
Yeah.
do you? But your mind at the time is like, okay, it's something. It allows me to go to work until
Yeah.
it doesn't, and that honestly led to the downfall to where I used my rent money. And after this situation, my roommate understood what I did. He had a child. This is very heartbreaking for me to lose a friend like that, which we're cool now.
Yeah.
He's seen my growth through life. But it was very hard. He had a child, and he said, dude, I cannot have this around my house.
Yeah.
I cannot. Situation just jeopardized my entire life.
Yeah.
So that's really, so I used the rest of my rent money to get high.
Yeah.
And then I actually reached out to my mom and I said, look, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I'm done. And I don't know where to go. And she happened to know she said, I can't help you, which is the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Parents enable. And a lot of them don't understand is that you have to let your child fall to get back up. If
Yeah.
you're preventing them from hitting the ground, how are they really going to learn?
Yeah.
So I hit the fucking ground. And she said, I used to work with someone who now runs financials for a homeless shelter for drug addicted men.
Uh-huh.
And that was the extension in Marietta. Very great place. Changed my life.
Georgia.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then how long were you in there?
A year, actually.
Okay. So you were pretty heavy in, would you say when you were using meth as well, you were kind of addicted to both? Or was the heroin more, or the heroin more addicted?
The heroin, I would still withdraw, but the meth would postpone that, and it would allow me to create time to acquire money to then, like I said,
and the energy and the energy and the focus to get the money.
Oh, and also money.
Yeah.
You drive people around that sell X amount of this and do this.
Yeah.
They give you money. It's just you get enveloped in the bullshit.
Yeah. All right. So at some point you go to Marietta, you go into a clinic for a year. What was that experience like?
All right. So it started out with, I got out of a hospital.
And at that time you're like what, 25 or you're 30?
29, man.
29. Okay, 29.
Yeah, 29. Yep. So I spent my 30th birthday in there. I do remember that, which is really fucking weird, but emotional time, but holy shit. So they made me go to a hospital to detox because I was also prescribed Klonopin for 10 years.
Okay.
So you can actually die from that when you're coming off
What is
of
Klonopin?
that.
Is that an antidepressant or something?
Like Xanax.
Okay, anti-anxiety. Okay.
So I had to come off of that medically, and then I went back in there. My first week there, I had a seizure working outside for some guy because people would routinely come through and offer you work. They were a very uplifting community. They'd come through and cover you at night. Churches, all sorts of people, man. It's beautiful to see.
They're looking to help you out.
Together.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen like that all the time. Like I was homeless. I wasn't contributing money. There are places that it's all about money. And it pushed people right back out. But this wasn't the case. I got lucky. Best thing that ever happened to me. So week 1, I come in at noon on a Sunday, and they're like, no one intakes on noon. Like, there's no one here to intake you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't have to go.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I just got out of
You
the
got to help
hospital.
me.
I was getting out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course I walked in, tears coming down my face, but then all of a
Yeah.
sudden I'm around all these dudes that just left jail and prison, and I'm like, okay, now it's time to switch the script on me. But that's where I was at rock bottom. Of course I'm gonna be emotional.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. Thinking back to that, it's amazing. But I slept in that night a room with 40 dudes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a big room. I had a bed.
Yeah. And some of
But
them probably sick. Some of them probably.
no, they had all been in there for a while. I mean, you have to
Okay.
be like detox to a degree. I mean,
All right.
I honestly didn't feel normal for 2 to 3 months.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but
All right.
meetings every day.
Yeah.
I had stability. I had food, man.
Yeah.
And I needed to be there.
Yeah. And then that was the end of the at least opiate type drug use.
Yeah, pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
Like it just there, like, yeah.
So I imagine you went through a lot in that, a lot of growth in that period, in that place, and that they probably give you some tools to get stronger, to get over it. Yeah. And then tell me about your life since then. How you've been, how it has affected you now, how you've grown.
So there's so much to speak of on that. I mean, I can tell you I'm happy. I'm proud of where I've gotten.
Yeah.
I'm proud of where I'm about to go. So I came from a family that had money. Not to say that everything was paid for, but I had the sports equipment. I had a car. I had, X, Y, and Z. It was a nice house. It was a nice lifestyle. My father was an asshole. I always use that as an excuse, but really that was my decision to cope with him that way, as opposed to being what I'm getting at is the tools that I learned and the damage that I caused and realized, mixed with seeing other people evolve their lives situationally, professionally, sociologically, allowed me to have prescribed myself a vision for the future. And really it started with, how the fuck do I live authentically?
Yeah.
And what does that look like? I've lied for 10 years to everybody. How do I march forward and redeem myself with me? It's not about you. It's about me.
Yeah.
Because I live with myself every fucking day. I don't live with nobody else. Well, I have the female now, but not in my head.
Yeah.
So I had to develop the vision. I had to utilize the tools that were given, which wasn't much. I'm in a homeless shelter, but they provided mental tools. I started working construction, and then a guy there, obviously I won't mention his name, but he allowed me, he did stuff with interior plants and built living green walls, and was associated with a realm that I had not seen. I've never really grown plants or dealt with that on a high-end level.
Yeah.
So that got my foothold into the industry that I am in now.
Yeah.
I've gotten great steam in that industry. I've had clients such as Salesforce, Microsoft, Amazon. That was past company. And yes, it wasn't all about me. That was a team. I did help almost triple that company. I'm now in talks with 4 companies right now for good money. And I don't mean that to be arrogant. I just mean that to say
I get
you
it.
can do anything that you want if you fucking want to.
Yeah. That's cool. So tell me about the green living walls.
So obviously sustainable. You're growing plants, you're creating oxygen. Yes, there are plastic trays that house the pots. They can be placed on the inside of buildings, the outside of buildings. Obviously, you have light requirements, you have temperature requirements, species is definitely a factor. But really, I look at it as we're putting concrete everywhere. And maybe this is a stage, I don't fucking know. But we're putting concrete everywhere. I think there's a need, a desire for the younger generation to feel more connected with the planet because
Yeah.
we are so disconnected by even things such as this.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
totally agree.
I mean, no disrespect, this is different than talking in person,
Yeah.
but there so much money is being thrown at this industry right now. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
In the 80s, it was booming. But now we're creating new ways to put plants on buildings. You see them in Spain, Milan, Malaysia. Holy shit, they're doing great things.
Yeah.
And if we can more plants, more oxygen, less CO2, and
Yeah.
it's only going to keep going. Look at batteries. How far have we come in batteries?
Yeah.
But people talk shit at the beginning. It's wasteful.
Yeah.
But so I think we're at the beginning. I know of a company developing a fucking crazy product. I can't say anything about it, but it will revolutionize the way CO2 is taken out of an oxygen in building, and that's all I can say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that things will continue to happen like this to help promote a more natural, sustainable life.
Yeah. I would say one thing about like plants in general as well, and incorporating more planting and working with plants in our lifestyle also can be very grounding. And it's not just about like removing carbon dioxide, but I think on a like a primal level, it brings us more towards a baseline, versus when we're surrounded by just concrete. We're part of nature as well, and we need, the more we're around nature as well, the more calm we are, the more, I guess, grounded. So I think there's many benefits to that.
Correct. I mean, we're monkeys on a rock, man. Some
Yeah,
people
yeah,
thing.
no, I agree
But
100%. Yeah, that's actually how I view life. I've tried to not view life anymore through the lens of like my culture that I grew up with, but to just think as a monkey, as an animal. And yeah, because there's no question that maybe we have consciousness, maybe we have different level of intelligence, but we are animals, we are nature, we are part of this planet as well. And I think a lot of us forget that because we just think we're humans, we do this, we use technology, but we're still animals, and we can't lose sight of that because we still need the same things that animals need. We need food, water, clothing, shelter. Well,
but
we need
we
clothing.
also need society, and that is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
That
Good people.
fabric that is being ripped apart through technology, through communications, and even through
Yeah,
politics and news media.
yeah,
Um, Fuck both sides.
yeah.
Um,
No, I agree. Yeah,
like it's the people need to understand their power, and just like overcoming addiction or anything, it is up to us. And I don't mean to get political or anything, but we have to make a decision to live the way we think we should, and we should
yeah,
not allow others to make us live a different way if it's morally correct. Which there's every religious book on the planet is based around a simple moral code
yeah,
to one
yeah, yeah,
degree
yeah.
or
Yeah, I agree.
so.
They're all similar in many ways. They all have many similarities in that way. So, very interesting. Um, well, this has been pretty fascinating. I'm happy to hear your story and everything. Is there anything else that you can think of to mention about your time since then, or about your time
Well, I mean,
during?
the only other thing would be is like I have to give props to my brother for being an authentic human. He's been an artist laying on concrete. He's been homeless not due to drug addiction, due to his passion. But he's now traveling the world in a band, and he has art pieces next to Warhols or in the same
Okay,
buildings
yeah,
as Warhols and Picasso's.
yeah,
So I I guess the only thing I can say is to live authentic is probably the best way you can live. And
couldn't agree more. Yeah,
I don't, that's all I got, man.
yeah, yeah. And is this your blood brother, your real brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And so you're kind of seeing a bit of that because your work is creative, it's artistic as well, and it's working with plants, which I think I I would even guess that part of that has to do with keeping you sober, keeping you, grounded and more mentally clear, yeah.
Correct. I'm not gonna say I'm sober. I do like a beer or
Yeah,
two.
yeah,
But
yeah,
from
well,
the opiate.
I-
Yeah.
yeah,
To be clear,
I-
that in the sobriety network, people, there's a lot of
yeah,
black and white
yeah,
there. I don't portray myself as that.
yeah, I get it.
I would say, I mean, even to speak on what else I've done, I did create my own moss art line for the company I used to work for, and I'm being
Okay,
asked to create a luxury line by a global company.
yeah,
Beyond that, like I said, we're in
yeah,
talks.
yeah, cool, but
So call me in a month and I might have a crazy fucking story for you. I don't know.
alrighty, all right, cool. Well, Eric, I appreciate it again. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me, and yeah, I wish you the best of luck, and maybe we'll talk again sometime.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
All right, take care. Have a good one. Bye.